Good morning, Rabbi Isai. We have a sugya. What do we do with the word Isai? It's actually broken up into four sugyas, four small sugyas. Once we get through that, what do we do with the word Isai? Then we have mamash geshmak sugya of, can you, let's say animal is a balmum, it's already balmum, can you go ahead and make another mum on something that's a balmum? And it's applicable to many things in the Torah. If something is chametz, could you be over again on chametz? If somebody is a saris, could you make him a saris again? Like after he's a saris, could you more of an action and make him more of a saris? So that's that sugya, but we have to go through this oisai. V'hashta, 5 lines from the bottom of Nun Hey Amud Beis. V'hashta, the nafkelei mivishachad es achatos. Oisai l'mutimai. The Gemara had a havamina that the word oisai comes to say that the Nasi, the king, his carbon owes in the north. But at the end of the day, we learn it from the pasuk v'shachad es achatos. So we have this word oisai is completely extra. What do we do with it? So there are 4 options, 4 small sugyas. Perhaps the word oisai comes to say nachshoin. Nachshoin is the Nasiim, not the Nasi, the king. It's a little confusing. The Torah calls the king a Nasi. But we know the Nasiim. The Nasiim brought Korbanos by the Chanukas Habayis, Chanukas HaMishkan. So those are the Nasiim. It's called Nachshoin. Maybe not to confuse it, the Gemara calls it Nachshoin. It's not the only one. All the Nasiim. That what? That he has to, the Nachshoin carbon has to be in the north of the Beis HaMikdash. And then you have a sugya of v'shachat. Shachat means that the shoichet doesn't have to stand in the north. He could have a long knife, and that's the end of the. That's actually how we finish off. That's what the Isaac comes for, ruining the end. But it's good to know. Isaac comes that the shoichet doesn't have to be in the north. And then we have about the bird. When you do Malika, do you have to be in the north? Not. And Pesach. So we're starting with the first one. We know Korban Pesach. Where do you shech the Korban Pesach? Tzafon or anywhere? Anywhere. So that's the last sugya. But then we're going to go back that the shaycha doesn't have to be in the north. I call upon him. We're starting off. Sugya number 1. What do you do with oisai? The first one is lemutei oisai bat safain. Only the king, his carbon is done in the north. Vein soyer nachshem bat safain. Let me just show you this older picture, right? This is the layout of the Beis Hamikdash. This red box is the northern part of the Azara. So I would think that only a king shechs in the red box. Right over here. But in this area, no, not allowed. That's the south. This is the line, the dividing line. Anything past this line up here, not allowed. So I would think ve'ein sar nachshem atzafan. When the Nasiim got together and they brought a chatos, and this is the only chatos. This is an adava, right? The Nasiim wanted to bring something to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They didn't do they weren't chayta. There's no sin. A chatos comes for a sin. This is the only time in history that you brought a chatos as an adava. And a chatos, which is kachi kachim, and we're even going to talk about it a little bit. Kachi kachim is always in the north part of the Azara. So Gemara says, you don't have to shech this chatas in the north. Now, why would I think you have to shech it in the north? So that the Nasiim, the Nachshoin, is similar to the king, where you have to lean on it, put your body weight on the head, the smicha. So you would also have to shech it in the north. Kamash Malon. So if we pause right over here, the Gemara says the only reason I would think in the north for the Nasiim is because you lean on it. And if you don't lean on it, then I would never think you have to shech it in the north. In a second, we're going to see Rabbi Yehuda that says you don't have to lean on it. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, we wouldn't have a Hav Amina. I'm just a little Chazarah, a little Agdama to the Chazarah to what we're going to learn in a second. And how do you know that the Nasiim have to do smicha? It says by the king, it says that he leans on it. L'Rabbi Sar Nachshon L'Smicha. We learn from there that also the Nasim have to lean on it. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Reb Shimon Oimer. L'Rabbi Sir Avodah Zarah. I messed up. I said Rabbi Yehuda. It's Reb Shimon. Reb Shimon says no. It's one of at least two machlokes we have between Rabbi Yehuda and Reb Shimon today. Reb Shimon says no. It's coming to say that when Klal Yisrael does Avodah Zarah by mistake because the Sanhedrin told him to do so, and they bring a goat, you have to lean on it. Ma'ask l'Ravina, Tenach l'Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says that you need smicha. So if you need smicha, I would think that you have to shecht, right? The Gemara says, why would I even have a havim when you have to shecht in the north? Because they have to do smicha. Okay, Rabbi Yehuda says you have to do smicha. Tenach l'Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Shimon ma'yik l'meir. Rabbi Shimon says you don't have to do smicha. Why would I have a havamina? They have to shecht in the north. Omer le Marzudro bereidi Rav Mori l'Ravina. Rabbi Yehuda nami. But wait a minute. Even according to Rabbi Yehuda, it's not so gishmak. My this Rabbi is Rabbi. My this Rabbi is I don't understand. The Torah says that the Nasim have to do. We have a limud, the Nasim have to do smicha, and that's it. Make it taste it to jump from there. Since they have to do smicha, they also have to shecht in the north. Okay, you know what? We have a binyanav. We can learn from a nachshain. The Nasim we're going to learn from a regular chatas. So smicha gufa lishtei kra b'teis binyanav. So then why do you have to learn that the Nasim have to do smicha? How do you know this? You learn from a king. No, just learn regular binyanav from a regular chatas. Ella, why not? That was a one-time thing in history that the Nasim brought karbanos. You can't learn Nasim from not smicha and not safain. Okay, so that's it. So I have no reason to believe that a nasi has to shech in the safain. I don't need oisai. So now what do I do with the oisai? Another sugi. So we're going on to the next sugi now. Zog the Gemara oisai. Listen to this. What do we again? We have this extra word oisai. What does it come to exclude? Oisai tan safain ve'ena shoichet oimeh b'safain. The animal must be in the north, not the shoichet. It's a big chiddush. Those who learn tzvachim remember this. But what? The long knife here. So if you have a very long knife, you don't have to be standing in the north. Only the animal must be in the north. Big chiddush. So as the Gemara, I don't need the word oisai. And the Gemara is going to actually say, you're right. I don't need a special word to tell me that. Why? Because I have another oisai, midrabachia nafka, that I can learn from something else. The sign of Rebachia Omer, b'shachad oisai. Oisai over here is by the oila. When you receive the blood, over there the person has to be standing, the kohen has to be standing in the north to receive the blood. If he's standing in the south, no good. So that's why it's a massive chiddush by us. That shchita you could. We're going to use this pasuk twice, but it's interesting that you take the word velokach and you could read it, not read it, but it's miramis to loy yikach, lokach loy yikach. If he was standing in the south and received the blood where he's standing, no good. Pasal. I'll tell you, when it comes to shechita also, he cannot be standing in the south. He must be in the north. Yeah, it's a little tricky because it's the same word. We're trying to figure out what do we do with the word oisai. Then, so we thought oisai comes to tell us that the shoichet, that he doesn't have to be standing in the north, he can be standing in the south. Says Gemara, it's true. That's a real halacha. But I learned from a different oisai. That's the oisai by oila. So once again, I'm stuck. I don't know what to do with the word oisai. So, and by the way, we're going to come back to this. This is what the oisai is. Oisai is to teach us that you don't have to be in the north. And what was the question? Why do we go away from it? Because I can learn from Rebbe Chia. So the Gemara is going to say, no, I can't learn from Rebbe Chia. Okay. Ella, so we're trying another one. Ella oisai betzafin vein ben oif betzafin. You don't have to shech, you don't have to do malika to a bird in the north. So I can learn, it's pashat, that you have to do it in the north. Why? When you shech the regular animal, you don't have to use a kohen. Anybody could shech an animal, even a Yisrael, even a woman. Ben oif shekavalei kohen and it didn't shenikvalei tzafin. A bird is so chashiv. Only a kohen could do it. So maybe, not maybe, l'chayra, of course, you need to do it only in the north. Says Gemara, don't bring me a raya. Mala ben son, you're saying that when you shech the sheep, it's very weak. and therefore certainly a bird needs soften. No, sheep is not weak. The only way to shecht it is with a klisharis, with a knife, not even a stone that's sharp where usually you could. You need a klisharis. And when it comes to a bird, you don't. So you see that one counteracts the other. There's no weakness in its sign. If there's no weakness in its sign, there's no havamin. I would think that you have to do malika to a bird in the north. So what am I going to do with this oisa? Again, so we're back to square one. I have extra word oisai. What do I do with it? You don't have to shech the carbon pesach in the north. Baruch Hashem, you don't have to, because we need a lot of room. A lot of animals. They were like up to the knees in blood. So it gives us extra room. This is what I learned from the word oisai. Says Gemara, what are you talking about? You don't learn from the word oisai. I learned it from Rabbi Eliezer Yaakov. And I learned from Rabbi Eliezer Yaakov once again, what am I going to do with the word oisai? I'm stuck. I don't know what to do with it. Well, I pesach with the Rabbi Eliezer Yaakov nafka. This time, Rabbi Eliezer Yaakov, you pesach ton sofan. I think that you must shech the carbon pesach only in the north. V'dinu. There's a special chumrah about carbon pesach. It only happens once a year. Torah says a specific date. It's a certain chumrah. Says Gemara. So certainly, if a oila that you could bring oila every day, you bring oila every day. Tamid. You need to do it in the north. So certainly, carbon pesach that has a special day. It's a mamish miyuchad. Certainly has to be in the north. Says the Gemara, Ma'ale oila shekein kolil. It has this chumrah. Kulei Hashem, the entire thing is on the mizbeach. The kohen doesn't get to eat anything. Says Gemara mechatos. Okay, so I'll learn from mechatos. Chatos is not kolil. A chatos, part of it, the kohen gets to eat, and it doesn't have his man either. Ain't man. What do you say? Oh. But it has a chumrah that it has the ability to bring forgiveness like kapara to those who are chayiv kares. So it's more masham. Asham also brings forgiveness, but not on kares, and it doesn't have a particular time. But so finally we get to that everybody knows this. Whoever learned Zvachim knows that Asham is kachi kachim, meaning mikulu nami sheken kachi kachim. All the other ones, the oila, the chatas, they're all kachi kachim. And if you're kachi kachim, the level, I should have shown the chart. Maybe the editor will bring the famous chart. We have a list of all the kachi kachim. What's missing from this list? The shlamim, no, the shalmi tzibur, the one that you bring on the shavuos. And then everything else is on the other side. You have a taida, shlamim, nazir, what else? Bechar, Pesach. I said shlamim, yeah. So kachi kachim must be done in the north. That's why it's in the north. Bekitzer, I don't know. So I learned this idea that carbon pesach is shechted anywhere in the Beis Hamikdash in the Chazarah from Rabbi Eliezer Yaakov. I don't need oisa. Oh, sorry, I skipped. I'm going to come in Mikara. We need the oisa to tell us that the one that shechs oisa b'tzavon v'nashech b'tzavon. The shechter, if that's a word, new one, the shechter can be also in the south. Or the kakashloch, but we already, I don't need the word oisa, I learned it from Achia. No, you learned Rabbi Achia wrong. Even though it doesn't mamish fit into the words, but you learned it wrong. Rabbi Achia wasn't coming to say that the kohen could stand in the south. That's Pasha. I'm coming to tell you that the one that receives the blood, he must stand in the north. Not that the Shoichet could stand in the south, that I learned from Isaac. I'm coming to say, Rabbi Chia, that the one receiving the blood, he must stand in the north. Says the Gemara, wait a minute. Mekabel melakach v'lakach nafka. Here, this pasuk, let's go back. Remind Ha'olam. Melakach lo yikach. Says Gemara, lakach v'lakach lo mashma lei. To learn this lo yikach, this drashi doesn't learn. Memela. What do I do with Isai? Isai that the carbon, Isai is going on the carbon. The carbon must be in the north, but the shoichet could be in the south as well. Says the Gemara, V'chayiv al ishos v'al yichos v'al afiyos, gishmak esugis now. Omer apapa, afa loikeshtayim. Big chiddush. We learned in the Mishnah that every one of the major avodas of baking bread, Yechayev Malkus, which included kneading, braiding, and kituf, which is basting The top, he said it's basting with water and putting it in the oven. Comes Rav Papa and says, oh, putting it in the oven, you chayiv 2. What's up is 2? By putting it into the oven, you're creating a form. You're forming the bread. And by putting it in the oven, you're chayiv not only for baking, also for forming it. As the Gemara of Amers it doesn't fit into everything we learned. We learned that baking is its own action. It's a chashuva thing. Yichidi. It's on its own. One thing. You chayiv one malchus. That's what it says. That's what we learned. Lekashya. If a person forms it, he braids it, when it's chametz, so he's chayiv malchus right away, and then he puts it in the oven. So for putting in the oven, how many you chayiv? 1. Why? Because you already chayiv 5 minutes ago. I'm braiding it. I can't make you chayiv twice for braiding the same thing. Ruvain braided it. He's chayiv malchus. Then Ruvain puts it in the oven. He's chayiv malchus for putting it in the oven. He can't be chayiv malchus for putting it in the oven. And I also formed it. You formed it 5 minutes ago. But when Shimon braids it, v'yavle, and Shimon gives it over to Ruvain, va'afa, and Ruvain puts it into the oven, then he's chayiv 2. 1 for forming it, and 1 for baking it. Shimon braided it already. How could you be chayiv on something Shimon already did? That's the whole sugya now. That even though Shimon did braiding, he already formed it, you're also over on forming it. You hear, Mendy? You with me? Why? Because that's the sugya. There's braiding after braiding. Torah Rabbanim. So this brings us to this sugya. Listen to this. A person has a firstborn animal. Firstborn animal goes to the kohen. Now, if it's a balmum, then you get off the hook. The kohen doesn't have to bring it to the Beis Hamikdash. You eat it as is. Now, this animal has a major disease. It's about to die. In those days, bloodletting was like the answer for everything. Person is about to have a heart attack, give him a bloodlet. Yenamachla, bloodletting. And there wasn't stop bloodletting. They drained them completely, dry, almost no blood left. And then today also they do bloodletting. In certain situations, certain people need it. I don't know, they have too much blood or something. I don't know. There's certain situations you do bloodletting. But this animal's about to die. Okay, this animal, let's call him a balmum. He's a balmum. So what are the options? Rabbi say you're not going to believe it. Typically we have a machlokes. We have three shittas in a machlokes. We have katzel. We have from extreme to extreme. It's 100% mutter, 100% asr, and then you have something in the middle. Now we have 4. So let's think about it. What could the options be? The worst case scenario is you make it a balmum. By letting blood out, you poke it in the eye to let the blood out. That's like the worst. So you have one man that says poke it in the eye. It doesn't matter. It's dying. So you save its life. It's a balmum anyway. Give it another mum. Then you have Rabbi Yehuda says, no. You can't do anything. Rabbi Shimon says, do whatever you want. Make a mum. Not only that, and then you could actually say, oh, it's a balmum, so you get to eat it as is. Rabbi Yehuda says, no, don't touch it. Let it die. We don't care. Let it die. And then you have in between. You have Rameir who says, you do bloodletting, but make sure it's not in a place. It's a mum. Do it in an area that's just going to heal tomorrow. It's not a mum. Huh? Mum shoiver. It's it's just a little nick. It's not a mum. And then you have the fourth. What's the fourth sheet the Rabbi is saying? The fourth sheet, Chacham, that you can make it a balmum. Just make sure you're not going to be able to eat it because of that. It's not a mum that later you're going to say, oh, it's a balmum, so I can get to eat it. No, you'll make it a balmum, but that's it. You can't eat it. Don't touch it. So those are the 4 sheets. Let's see inside. You have a firstborn animal that must have bloodletting to live. Says Remeir, you could do bloodletting, but make sure it's in a place that doesn't cause a mum. But you're not permitted, if the only available spot is where it causes a mum, you can't do it. You could do another mum. Why? What's the pshat? Because they hold there's no mum after a mum. This animal's a balmum. It's a dying animal. It's a balmum. So what did you do? You didn't do anything. You made another hole in an artery somewhere. Okay, so you made a hole in the ear. Big deal. It's already balmum. But you can't use that mum as an excuse to shecht it outside of the Beis Hamikdash. Rabbi Shimon Omer, daf nun vav amud beis, af nishchat aloisoi mum. You could even use that mum. It's not a problem. Shecht it, use it. It's not a b'char anymore. You create a mum and then it's not a b'char. Hold on a second. So you don't have to go backwards. You have to turn the page back to see this Rashi. Rashi says a fascinating thing. Rabbi Shimon Tamei, do'amar dover she'ei miskaven mutar. V'zela niskaven l'adabay mum. Amanaz ha'shach Rabbi Shimon says that you have to have intent to do something, and since you didn't have intent to make him a balmum, you didn't care, you didn't want it to be a balmum, you wanted to save its life. It just so happens to be, now he has a mum, so mela I'm allowed to even eat it. What's the question on this? No, psik reisha. You can't say, I'm going to take blood from its eye, I'm going to stick a needle, I hate to say it, but that's one of the things that the Rashi said, the ear, I'm going to poke it in the ear, pull blood out, but I didn't have intent to make him a balmum. What do you mean? There's no other way to poke an animal in the eye and not make it a balmum. When you poke in the eye, it is a balmum. So you can't say, I didn't mean it. For instance, we just had it, a little while ago. What's the classic example of Dov Shein Miskaven? Dragging a bench. You're not allowed to drag a bench on Shabbos if it's going to create a furrow. But if you're not sure, then you're allowed to. But if you know 100% it's going to create a charetz, you're going to dig into the ground, then you're not allowed to. So if you're also, 100% sure, you're going to create a mum in the animal. So this is not a Dov Shein Miskaven. Okay, so the Rishonim talk about it. Rabbi Yehuda is the far extreme from Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon says you can create a mum and you can even shecht it on this mum. He says don't touch this animal. If it needs to die, it dies. Why? Because there's something called Adam Baal HaMamonai. Person, he goes crazy when he wants to save his things, and if you say you're allowed to save it, but just don't make a mum, he's not going to differentiate. One time he's going to make a mum, he's not going to. So you say, you know what? Better, you can't save anything. Shalom Yisrael. No. So we have now 4 shitas. 4 shitas. Again, what are the 4 shitas? Yeah, I have an animal that's about to die if you don't let blood. But he's a b'char. You're not allowed to create a mum in a b'char. One sheet is Rabbi Yehuda says, do not touch him. That's the far extreme. One sheet is Rabbi Shimon says, touch him, put the needle wherever you feel like. Not only that, you get to shecht it. It's not a b'char anymore. It's a balmum. Then you have Reb Meir that says you could only do it in a situation in a way that there's no mum at all. Then you can do bloodletting. Make sure there's no mum. Chacham say no. You can make a mum. Just make sure that you're not going to use this as an excuse to say, it's not a b'char. So it's a very similar idea. Shuchayev, that's our sugya. That you're over on chametz, even though you were over on chametz 5 minutes ago on the same mincha. D'chsiv, lo yisayasa chametz, v'lo yisayafei chametz. So there's 2 things. That I'm over on braiding this bread because it's chametz, forming it, and 5 minutes later I'm over again on the same chametz for putting it in the oven. So this is also a pelagic thing, to castrate an animal. So listen to this. The pasuk says 4 things. Umoch, b'kosos, v'nosuk, v'charus. These are all 4 different ways that a person is a saris. So you're chayev one after another. D'chsiv, umoch, it's squeezed, v'chasos, crushed, v'nosuk, severed, v'charus, you cut it. Imakoris uchayev, al noisik lekolshkin. If you to cut is a lot less than sever it completely. Imakoris uchayev, al noisik lekolshkin. Elo havi noisik achakoris uchayev. Doing it to sever. In other words, listen to this. If there was a krisa, it was cut. Now this animal can't have children. If you go ahead and you sever it completely, you're over again. It's a pella. Isn't that a pella? Yeah. this animal's done. It's out of the parsha. It's a saris l'kula alma. But if you do you take more action, there's mamish fits in down with sugya. Chometz after chometz, mum after mum. Says the Gemara, le'nechleku ele b'matel mum b'bal mum. But in our sugya, we have a machlokes that what? This animal is dying. It's a dying animal. If you don't do bloodletting, it's going to die. Rebbe Meir sava kol mum lo yeboy. The word kol, any mum ever, meaning even if it already has a mum, you're not permitted to add another mum to it. V'rabbanan savri tamim yeh l'ratzin. No. This isser of making a bal mum is only on something that's complete, that's whole. This animal is not a whole animal; it's already dying, so it's not a problem to make a mum. Just don't use it as an excuse. What is he going to do? It says mefurish that the isser of the mum is on something complete. If an animal was born with a mum, that's how it was born. So it never had a chance to become kaddish, and then you're allowed to make it another mum. Says Gemara, I don't understand. Balmum mikara dikla balmu. It's a palm tree. What do you mean balmum mikara? It never had the kedusha saguf. Ella lemutei psulei hamukdashim lachem yonim. Sometimes you have a carbon that became you can't bring it as a carbon. So what do? You redeem it. So after you redeem it, you're allowed to you could put a mum in it. Why? You're not allowed to give it a mum. Why? Because it still has a little kedusha. You're not allowed to shear it. You're not allowed to work it. Maybe you're not allowed to put another mum in it. Come on, you're allowed to. What do they do with the word kol mum yeboy? Kol mum lo yeboy ein le'elo shelo yeboy mum. Minayin, you're not allowed to put a mum in an animal in a bechar. Minayin shelo yigrim lo yal yidei acherim. Or what if you don't do the mum itself? The mum, you do something that's going to cause it to have a mum. Shouldn't put any dough on its ear or something else that's delicious. That's what they do with the word kol. Omar mum, v'omar kol mum. You're not allowed to inflict a mum by yourself, but you're also not allowed to pour some chocolate on the ear so that another animal or something should come and take it off and make it mum. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDY.com.